are in the third session, which is the final session of this communication workshop. In the last session, that is session number 2, we talked about what is the smart communication. We talked about its definition. Let me one more time read the smart communication definition to you. So it's all about conveying the right message for the right purpose, for the right outcome, to the right people in the right manner at the right time. Okay, and this sequence can be different given each situation. But when we take all of this into our communication, that is the smart communication. And so now we'll talk about how to make that smart communication happen, how to make that presentation. But most presentations, the opening and the closing, you should spend about 5 to 15% of time, total time that you intend to spend or you are allowed to spend on each of those. 5 to 15% for opening, 5 to 15% for closing, and that gives you about 70 to 80% of your time should be for the main content. So what do we call that? Opening, body, and closing. Okay, so the body of the speech or the presentation should be allowed about 70 to 80% of your total time. So now let's talk about the opening. Opening is very important, okay? So in the opening, basically you're trying to warm up the audience, prepare them to listen to you. You have to make sure that they are attracted to you. So somebody gives your introduction, but if somebody doesn't give your introduction or something very important is missing, then very politely you should make sure you let them know. And when people know whom they are listening, how knowledgeable that person is, how well qualified that person is, then they listen to that person more carefully. So opening is very important. Know the audience whom you are talking, because each audience has a different requirement. Once the opening is done, now you come into the body of the presentation or body of the speech. This is where you are providing what, why, and how. In other words, what's the problem? You know, is there a problem? Is there an opportunity? Is there a project? Is there something that we all want to do together? Or am I here to motivate you? Am I here to educate you? Whatever is the purpose, that purpose has to be served through this body. Okay, so our content, our matter should justify whatever is the purpose of that presentation. Another thing is talk about why. Why is this subject is so important? Why should I be talking this to you? Why you should be listening to me? Why is it so important? Because why would people come there if it was not important? But you need to reiterate that or talk about it very briefly. You know, what's the importance? Is there something to gain? Is there some risk involved? Is this urgent? You know, does it have to do with my life and death? Or does it have to do with how I can get the best job or I'll be most successful? So on and so forth. So we need to also explain why the subject matter is so important. And then obviously, how do I present? Well, here we want to make sure that we are helping the audience, okay? The purpose is we have to add value to their life. If there is a problem here, that I must offer the solution. And if there is a possibility here, then I must show what are the ways this possibility can be capitalized or this possibility can be realized and so on, or how you can benefit from this subject matter that I'm going to present. So this is what would come in the body of that presentation. Make sure that you are connected with the audience, that audience is connected with you, that you are very polite, you have a very positive attitude, you stand straight, and use the body language and all those things that we talked about. Use all those things to your advantage. So this is the body of the presentation. Now we come to closing. Closing again is very simple. Summarize three most important things that you had wanted to communicate and you had communicated through the body of your speech. So, what you do here is you tell those three most important things, and then if you expect that some actions going forward should be taken by the audience, then you may mention those to them, or how you can be helpful, you may mention that to them, and certainly very politely thank them for having given this opportunity. We have finished our session, third session, which is the final session, and in that we talked about how to do the opening, how to present the body of the speech, and then how to do the closing. Now, in all these three sessions, we talked about how communication is important, how it is a tool for successful leadership, and we also talked about what's the smart communication. Smart communication is the best communication. One who learns and can do the smart communication is the best communicator.